The Electoral Chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice is holding hearings with the former electoral candidates of the July 28th elections. This is part of an investigation into the electoral process and inquiry asked by the re-elected president Nicolás Maduro in the face of the fraud callings promoted by the far-right wing, a premeditated plan that they were announcing for several months ago, that they were not able to accept the results if President Nicolás Maduro was the winner. This court started the hearing for individual appearance of former candidates and their legal representatives today, a process that will last until this Friday, August 9th, and opposition candidates Manuel Rosales of Un Nuevo Tiempo, also José Luis Cartaya for the Mesa de la Unidad Democrática, and José Simón Calzadilla for the Venezuelan movement were the first to appear today before the highest authority, the highest judicial authority of the country. Also, this instance received representatives from right-wing organizations, among whom were Zulia Governor Manuel Rosales from a New Time Party, José Cartaya from Democratic Unity Roundtable, and also José Calzadilla, Movement for Venezuela. Let's recall that none of them presented either evidence or records to the judges. The biggest highlight of the day was the former electoral candidate Edmundo González, who is representing the far-right wing of the country, refused to assist today to the court, so did not appear at the hearing in the Supreme Court of Justice Electoral Chamber today, where he was expected to present the voting records from these presidential elections held on July 28th. This means that Edmundo González disobeyed an explicit mandate from the Supreme Court, and according to the Supreme Court President Carislia Rodriguez, who is at this moment addressing the people present at the courtroom of the Electoral Chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice, she assured that the failure to appear before the Electoral Chamber will have consequences, all provided for in Venezuela's current legal system. The extreme right registered for elections and also put up election witnesses, but since before the electoral process, González already announced that he would sign fraud. After realizing they would not win, they choose to promote violence with the intention of starting a civil war, violence that have had consequences for the country. The outbreaks of violence promoted by this extreme right wing between Monday and Tuesday, the following days of the elections, where the results were already released by the National Electoral Council, did not have as a protagonist peaceful citizens, as the authorities assured earlier this week. They were not formed by students nor trade unions, and most of the people who were arrested following these criminal events assured during the arrest that they didn't even go to vote. The extreme right did not succeed in mobilizing workers or young men. So during the protest, these culprits burned official facilities, government buildings, educational institutions, health centers, also monuments, and others. And this is what had the sole motivation of receiving payments from abroad. During these days of violence, more than 80 officers were injured by these criminals. Regarding this judicial process that is taking place in the Supreme Court of Justice, let's recall that former candidate of the Great Patriotic Poll and also constitutional president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, will appear on Friday before the Supreme Court, and this political coalition assured that it's prepared to deliver 100% of the electoral records that are in their possession. Let's remember that this week, the Supreme Court President Carislia Rodriguez summoned all former presidential candidates to present the electoral records in their possession. And this is what we are witnessing at this moment, a process that started today in Caracas, Venezuela, where several former candidates already have assisted to show the documents that support their claims. And this is a process that is taking place in order to clarify the transparency of the electoral process in the country, an electoral process that is worldwide renowned for its security, for its transparency, for the technological support that it has, a process that was audited for several weeks after the election day, a process that also got the over 1,000, of observers who assured that these were transparent elections. However, the far right insists that there has been a fraud, a claim that is not news, that they have been doing the same operation for over 20 years, for as long as they see their interest affected. At this moment, the President of the Supreme Court of Justice of Venezuela, Carislia Rodriguez, entered the courtroom and is addressing to the people present at this moment, representatives and also former candidates that took part in the elections of July 28th in the country. Let's recall that this is an inquiry presented by the President-elect Nicolás Maduro and responds to the contentious action presented for a thorough investigation into the presidential elections to clear any accusations of fraud. Despite that the far right wing is the one that is claiming that these elections were fraudulent, the main candidate or former candidate of the elections, Edmundo González, failed to appear today before court.